Jeff, good morning. Congratulations on the new job. Where do you want to start with Kyler Murray?
I want to start first by correcting the record here, if I may, for a second, Dan. Lest we not forget that the Browns drafted Johnny Manziel because a homeless man told Jimmy Haslam, the owner there, that it was the right thing to do.
Okay.
So clearly, you can be like Jerry Jones, listen to your personnel people, and take Zach Martin, or you can be like Jimmy Haslam, listen to a random homeless guy, and end up with Johnny Manziel.
When do we know?
I'm not like the bitter Cleveland lifer or fan or anything like that either. Not at all. No, I'm not waiting for a championship or anything.
When do we find out what Kyler Murray's true intentions are going to be?
You know, I think, and I ran this by a couple of sources in the last few days, I think it's going to be within the next 2 to 3 weeks or so. And here's my rationale behind that. That gives the A's some time to put together an offer that's going to be financially incentivizing for Kyler Murray to pass up on football. That also, and the reason it's this close as opposed to February 15th when he's due to report to Oakland A's camp, what that does is that allows him to get into either shape. If he's going to be going to the NFL Scouting Combine that starts February 26th, he needs to be training for football. And if he's going to spring training, he needs to be training for baseball. And I understand that to the layman, to me, to you, to everyone else out there, that training seems like training. You go to the gym, you lift weights, you run, you do various things. But there are elements of training, especially when you're going to something like the Combine, that is just so specialized that you need to focus on. And a month lead time is about right for a guy who's already as fit and athletic as Kyler Murray. So I don't know if it's going to be by February 1st, but I think it's going to be close to that time.
Does Kyler Murray know sort of where he stands, what his grade is as a football player? Having Scott Boras as his agent, who's a baseball guy, does that help or hurt? Trying to figure out where Kyler Murray stands as a first or second round draft pick.
Well, I think if Kyler Murray ends up being a football player, he's going to get a football agent. Scott Boras has never represented football players in his life. He takes pride in being a baseball-only guy. So I don't think that is going to factor into it. What Scott Boras is doing, though, is there's a very interesting dynamic going on right now. And that is normally the agent-club relationship is adversarial because the agent is trying to get the most money and the team is trying to pay the least money, and they're going to eventually negotiate and find a place in the middle. In this case, Billy Beane and Scott Boras' interests are perfectly aligned.
Yeah.
Both of them want Kyler Murray to play baseball, and both of them are trying to work together to keep him playing baseball, because Scott Boras believes that Kyler Murray can be a superstar baseball player, and Billy Beane believes that Kyler Murray can be a superstar baseball player. And I think that if you talk with other evaluators, that might be a bit of a stretch. Some guys see his ceiling more like Jackie Bradley Jr. as opposed to a Mookie Betts type. And the fact, though, that we have as many players in baseball who are Kyler Murray's size and have shown themselves to be incredible. Willie Mays, 5'10". Hank Aaron, 5'10". Yeah. Kyler Murray's not out of place in baseball. In football, Kyler Murray is either an incredible freak who has overcome limitations that only one guy in modern football history, and that's Doug Flutie, has done, or he's not going to be successful.
Talking to Jeff Passan, ESPN senior baseball insider. Are the A's the wrong team for Kyler Murray?
In what regard?
They're cheap. They don't spend. They're not on the baseball landscape. Even if they make the playoffs, they're just sort of a benign franchise. Could they? I wonder if Kyler Murray, if his rights were owned by somebody else, would it be like the Dodgers?
If the Dodgers or the Yankees or a marquee team did. Here's the reason why I don't think it makes a difference. Because the Dodgers and the Yankees have bad minor league places too. Like, you're going to need to go to the minor leagues no matter what if you're Kyler Murray. And you might start in low A, you might start in high A. The A's have him ticketed for Stockton, California right now. The Cal League, I'm glad it's still early on the West Coast. Hopefully there are only a few people listening. The Cal League is just a desolate, awful place. And so to start your career there when you could be playing in front of 80,000 people in NFL stadiums on every Sunday, like that is ultimately what I wonder if it drives Kyler Murray's decision.
Yeah,
is the prospect of being in podunk cities in stadiums playing in front of a couple thousand apathetic fans a night really going to get the competitive juices flowing in him?
I think he's got a taste of stardom. He's played in front of big crowds his entire football career from high school on, and I think it's hard to sort of say to, that spotlight, hey, I'll be back in a couple of years to shine again. I just get the feeling he loves football. He's got leverage here. But if I'm the A's, all I want to know is Kyler, just answer this question. What do you love more, baseball or football? Because if he's not sure, I move on. I can't be. And by the way,
here's the thing though, Dan. Let me throw this out to you. I talked with Drew Henson last week, and it was a really interesting conversation because the way he put it is, if you've grown up your whole life loving two things, like we're as a society into this sporting monogamy, and we see it with our kids. I see it all the time. I have an 11-year-old, and people ask, what sport does he play? I'm like, he plays sports, plural. He plays baseball. He plays basketball. He plays, he runs. He does as much as he can because I'm trying to create a love of sports for him. And Kyler Murray, I think, is allowed to love football and baseball. And the idea that he's being forced to choose here, it sucks for him. It's not an easy enough decision, I think, for them to go to him and say, which do you love more, and for him to be able to answer like that, because there are just so many factors at play here, whether it's money, whether it's fame, whether it's parental pressure. There are all kinds of things. And I in so many ways envy Kyler Murray, but having to make a decision like that, Dan, at 21 years old, when you don't know anything about the world, Drew Henson, almost 20 years later, still has regrets over his choice. And it's not regrets that he signed with the New York Yankees and gave up football altogether, but he wanted to go back to Michigan for his senior year and feels like he really should have done that.
Your gut feeling is going to be what for Kyler Murray?
My gut feeling is football. I think the Oakland A's are going to go absolutely all out. I think they're going to make him a blow-you-away offer, and I think it's going to be a lot closer than it should be. But QB1 is QB1, man. And if you're a kid from Texas, that is all you need to hear when you've got a first-round grade on you.
Jeff, great stuff as always. Congrats on the new gig at the mothership, and we'll be keeping an eye on what you report.
Thank you, Dan. Great coming on, and appreciate you having me.
Jeff Passan, ESPN senior baseball writer.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.